You're listening to the Packernet Podcast Network.
The NFL season is finally here, so make sure you're ready with NFL Sunday Ticket and YouTube TV. It gives you the most live NFL games all in one place, exactly what you need to make your Sundays more magical. Sign up today at youtube.com/Sunday Ticket. Local and national games on YouTube TV. NFL Sunday Ticket for out-of-market games excludes digital-only games.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
All right, let's do this. Let's jump into some PFF grades, and you all bear with me as I get it pulled up here. We're going to get the screen adjusted where hopefully you can actually see it. We've got the PFF grades from the Packers-Eagles game here. I'm just going to go full screen and see if we can bend this a little bit to where you guys can actually see it. So first things first, I really like to get into, okay, what did they do well? Maybe what do they do not so well? What happened in the game? Why did it happen? Here are the PFF grades as a team against the Eagles. Obviously, the Packers lost 34-29. Overall grade was a 60.3. I'm pretty sure of all the teams that have played up to this point. And if you guys would hit that like button, I see we got a bunch of people just jumped in here. Hit the like button, help boost the algorithm, help other Packer fans find this channel, find this content. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us. But overall, I think we're the lowest graded team of the four teams that have played right now. That doesn't make a hill of beans. If we were the lowest graded team in the entire week one, listen, look at everything in quarters. Get a quarter of the way through the season. Now we look at, okay, what's the team actually look like? Because you're going to have ups and downs. If we come out and we grade it out in the 90s overall, I'd be saying the same thing, guys. Just one game. Let's look at it over a quarter mark, okay? But 60.3 overall. The offensive grade was a 69.4, okay? The defensive grade was a 50.7. So PFF suggests the offense carried the night. I would wholeheartedly agree with that. And I know there's some people that still don't, and they kind of blame the offense for the defense's woes. I don't understand that thinking, and that's okay. We can, who's to say I'm right and they're wrong? Offensively, passing was a 60.7. Pass blocking was a 77.7. I mean, they really held up pretty well in pass blocking. That was the thing that was so discouraging about Jordan Love throwing off platform so much in the fadeaway. I want to keep referencing Jake Shavink said it on Twitter. He said, man, live tweeted during the game, which I try not to do unless it's something positive. But Jake Shavink said, man, Jordan Love really drifting out there. That's what he meant. And you could see it. As soon as he said, Jake's seeing the same thing I am. See, because he's getting too comfortable with the off platform. There was times he didn't need to do it. And then he threw a couple of worm burners, right? He just dirted the ball. There was one pass in particular. I think it was the Jaden Reed on a crosser, and he skipped that thing to him. And you could see with his mechanics, held on to the ball too long, got out over his skis, kept his finger on the ball too long, and tried to put too much zip on it. You just got to play comfortable. I think he'll get comfortable. Hopefully this injury doesn't set that back too much. But passing grade, 60.7. Pass blocking, 77.7. Receiving grade, 63.9. All right. Running grade, 73.2. And run blocking, 70.8. The only one I would disagree with there, and not necessarily disagree, but the one that surprised me, I'll just say that, would be the run blocking. And then when you take into consideration how well they run blocked in the second half as opposed to the first half, it's probably about right, 70.8. So what's the big eyesore there? According to PFF, again, this isn't everything. This is just another tool we can use. On the offensive side of the ball, the passing grade was what looked the worst. And you can see it. You can see it with Jordan. The accuracy was off. We talked about it all game. It's all throughout my notes. Pass behind should have been caught, though. Pass behind should have been caught. You get to about the fourth or fifth one of those, it's okay, Jordan's having a bad night. It is what it is, right? So that's your offensive team grades. Now, on the defensive side, like we said, a 50.7, that's horrible, man. That's absolutely horrible. Run defense grade, 52.5. Doesn't surprise me because when you switch from a 34 to a 4-3, your running defense is going to take a little bit of a hit. You're going to create more tackles for a loss. You're going to create more pressure on the quarterback because you're playing one gap out of the base, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to help in the running game. Typically, it has an opposite effect. That's the message we try to get across all offseason. It's only one game. Maybe he'll be able to scheme up something a lot better there against Indy. Tackle grade 62.9 doesn't surprise me. Did you guys notice that the new players that were added to this team on defense, they tackle – it's trying to think of how to word this and not sound like a jerk. The guys who were missing tackles, they were missing tackles last year. You know what I'm saying? Like you've seen guys, Jaire Alexander missed a couple tackles, right? Jaire Alexander blew a few coverages too, one of which was an explosive touchdown. Like that's the home run hitter right there. But as far as the tackling, Xavier McKinney to me looked all right. That guy can tackle. Javon Bullard looked good, other than the one missed tackle where he just glanced off the guy, and I think he was trying to smack at the ball, trying to create a turnover. But you can do that. But if you're going to be Charles Woodson light, you better make sure you've perfected that, because the top priority is to tackle the ball carrier, right, rather than just trying to punch it out. He'll learn from that. I like what I've seen from Javon Bullard, albeit he didn't have a great game, but it's like, okay, it didn't seem too big for him, right? Edgerrin Cooper, man, when I watched the tape, we got to get him on the field. That came quick. He's healthy now. That's obvious. Got to get his butt on the field. I personally think he has an opportunity to be way better than Quay Walker. That's just me. Now, what does Quay do well? He's great in coverage. You got to put him in a position to maximize that. Edgerrin Cooper could be great in coverage too. Man, his ability to attack the ball, you've seen the burst, the first step, holy cow. Quay Walker has the same physical ability as Cooper, Edgerrin Cooper. The difference is Quay is hesitant on his run fits, and Edgerrin Cooper, start, stop, shoot. He shoots his shot. And it was only like 11 or maybe 15 snaps, but dude, he looked like he belonged. We got to get his butt on the field. I don't care what you got to do. And now's the time to do it too, because everybody's going, with Jordan out, are we going to win these? Throw him out there, trial by fire. Let's get it going. I think Edgerrin Cooper belongs. Pass rush grade 61.5. Look at here. Coverage grade 49.8. That's discouraging, because you bring in Coach Halfley, and I have all the faith in him in the world. I think he's going to be a good defensive coordinator. But I expected that number to be what carried the defense. It's actually what drug us down, So, again, the players have got to go out there and make the plays. I didn't find ourselves many times in a situation where it's like, oh, that was scheme. There was one play in particular inside the 20. I hope I can remember that included in Chalk Talk. But there was one play in particular inside the 20 that was a running play where they had the hat count. It was literally, including the running back, they were +1 on the hat count. And I'm going, oh, that's bad scheme there. Bad scheme. And we were in a underlook without a Sam being on the line, without the strong side linebacker being on the line, or the mock in that case. So I think it was 11 personnel. And we were shaded to the underside, and it was just hat count central. I was like, oh, no. As soon as they handed the ball off, I went, oh, that was scheme. And I went back and watched the replay. I'm like, yeah, they had us +1 in the hat count. That cannot happen. That can't happen. Teams will run all over you when you got a hat count like that. And it didn't happen all day. Maybe someone lined up wrong. I don't know. It could have been on the players. But, yeah. So coverage grade, though, 49.8. And then special teams grade, 52.6. So there is your team grade. All right. And, again, overall 60.3. Offense 69.4. Defense was 50.7. All right. Now let's jump into offense here. Let's see who graded out well on offense. We'll try to get this zoomed in for y'all. And let's keep it about right there. So leading the way, surprise, surprise, Zach Tom, 67 snaps, guys. He graded out a 92.0. And, we showed in the PFF preview, and I don't know who was lined up over him. I haven't watched Zach Tom's, specific box tape. Probably won't either, because the dude's good. I'm moving on to try to find the holes. That's just me. But, man, he dominated. 85.0 pass block grade. It was supposed to be Brandon Graham lined up over him. I don't know if that ended up being the case or not. We'd have to go look at the tape. Run blocking, 93.2, 0 penalties. That dude's about to make some bank. When you talk about modeling your roster in the salary cap, remember what we just talked about with the wide receivers? You got 2 receivers that are going to be coming up for contract. Next year will be the last year on their deal. That's Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson. Okay. And then I told you, you got Jaden Reed and Dontavion Wicks the year after that. Jaden Reed is the only receiver right now that I see like, okay, he's worth the big bucks. Okay. So you've got Jordan Love's contract starting to kick in, albeit it's still affordable. It's in the 20 millions of as far as cap hit. You're good there. But Zach Tom, you've got to figure out a way to get him paid. You overpay for great. You never overpay for good, right? I feel like Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson are good. They're not great receivers. They're good receivers. So you don't want to overpay for that. Jaden Reed, so far, great receiver. You're willing to overpay for that. He came in second, 89.2. It was a Jaden Reed show in that game, and that was just so much fun. So much fun to watch. Watch him, play offense. Third, Elton Jenkins, 78.4. He had a 78.9 pass block grade, a 74-point run block grade. Elton Jenkins looking like the old Elton Jenkins. You want to see that. That's absolutely awesome. He's the guy in your roster model that's making big bucks right now. He's your highest paid offensive lineman. Number 4, Emmanuel Wilson, 69.8. It drops off tremendously, doesn't it? 92, 89, 78. Now we're at 69.8. But Emmanuel Wilson had a good game, only 16 snaps. And I'll tell you this, there was many times that there was nowhere to run, and that dude just bounced it outside, and that's a great weapon to have when they're really trying to clog up the run lanes. Because when you do that, now they got to be a little more hesitant. Okay, we're just going to jam up the middle. No, we really got to watch those bounce back lanes. And all it takes is a little bit of hesitation. You get them thinking about their original assignment. You get them thinking about the adjustment the coach told them to make on the sideline. Hey, look, watch the bounce backs. And now their mind comes off the play action. They naturally bite on it. Your brain, 2 thoughts can't occupy the human brain at the same time. You ever thought about that? I want to get philosophical here, redneck philosophy here. But two thoughts cannot occupy your brain at the same time. It's physically impossible for someone to think about 2 things at the same time. Some people are going, oh my God, you just blew my mind. That's why when people talk about speaking things into existence, when you speak something, you have to think about what you're speaking, and it's the only thing that can occupy your brain at that time. Well, guess what? That's what you're focused on now. Very rarely do we get what we deserve. We almost always get what we expect, right? Now, back to football. I don't know what the hell that came from, but here we are. Defense. If they're thinking, all right, here's my run fit. Okay, now we got to focus on the bounce back game. All right. Their mind is completely off play action, right? It has to become – you ever heard a football player say you do it enough times, it just becomes instinct? That's what they're talking about. Because your mind can't think about all these things at once. It's just got to become natural. It's got to become a reaction that you. It's like when you touch something hot. You don't think, oh, that's hot. You think, get my damn hand away from that, right? It's the same thing. Like all it takes is 1 or 2 times of getting burned, and now it's in your mind. When that stove's on, I ain't putting my hand over there. You got to get your mind, your mind and your body kind of geared around. Okay, this is no matter what happens, I'm reacting this way to this, and that's why when you throw these different looks and you marry up the run with the pass, like Matt LaFleur's so good at, it causes problems. All right, next, Jordan Morgan. This one made me smile. Only 28 snaps with 67.7. We've always talked about if a rookie grades out in the 60s, it's usually a pretty good sign they're going to be a good football player. So that was a great sign, albeit only 28 snaps. So they were rotating with Sean Ryan. Sean Ryan got the bulk of the snaps. It looks like Jordan Morgan came in at left tackle is what they're showing. I'd have to go look at the tape, but nonetheless, 67.7. So Sean Ryan at right guard, 42 snaps. But we had a total of 67. My guess is Jordan Morgan played some right guard snaps too. I haven't looked at the box cam yet, so we'll go back when I'm doing Chalk Talk today and try to get an answer for that. But nonetheless, Jordan Morgan, 67.7, pass block grade, 64.0, run block grade, 66.6. Number 6, Jordan Love. As bad as Jordan played, still played decent. 64.6, passer grade of 63.7. Now, listen, that's not $220 million worth right there. We all know that, and Jordan knows that. But, yeah, that's how his grade shook out. Josh Jacobs, 7th at 64.4. His pass blocking grade, 70.3, real solid there. His passing grade on passing plays was 60.4. Running grade was 63.8. So Josh Jacobs, you want to see more out of him, but still pretty decent day. Definitely wasn't the reason we lost that game. Romeo Doubs was your highest graded wide receiver, not named Jaden Reed at a 63.8. Rasheed Walker, 60.9. He played 67 snaps. I wonder if they just have him. They just have to have him listed at left tackle. So Jordan Morgan had to have played right guard. Let's see if it actually shows us the snaps. I don't know if it will or not. I know there's somewhere you can see it. I just try not to get too hung up on that. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. We'll go back. I think they just got him listed in the database as a left tackle. So he probably did rotate with Sean Ryan at right guard. Sean Ryan came in at 59.8. Just put Jordan Morgan out there at right guard. Let's get this over with. Stop this rotational crap. He's ready. Let's go. It ain't worse than Sean Ryan. We can see that now. Listen, you missed on Sean Ryan, third-round pick. It is what it is. The only thing worse than missing on a player is refusing to accept the fact that you missed on a player. Christian Watson, 59.6 was his grade. He was the third highest graded receiver. Bo Melton only 8 snaps with a 56.2. Tucker Kraft had a bad game, looks like. His run blocking, though, 70.3. Pass blocking, 66.5. But in the passing game, they must have seen him run a lazy route or something. That's got to be there because he played 64 snaps, too. But I expect him to get better. Luke Musgrave, 43.8. Not looking good for Luke, man. Josh Myers, 65 snaps, 50.1 PFF grade. Let me take a second to hit this because I meant to earlier. There was an update on Josh Myers. He left the game. People were asking me in the postgame, do we know what's going on with Myers? This is what Matt Schneidman said 10 hours ago. Josh Myers left the game on the play. Jordan Love got hurt. Myers told me that he was cramping really bad the whole second half. Quote, I took a set on that play and just fell over, basically. I don't mean to laugh. That just sounds funny. I got a couple IV bags. I'm all right now. So there you go. Matt Schneidman pretty much confirmed Josh Myers. It was just cramps. The fact that him and Jordan were cramping and other players were cramping down there, it had to be something to do with the altitude, right? It would have to be. But anyway, Malik Willis, 2 snaps, 42.5. Let's try not to judge him too hard. I'll tell you the big surprise for me was Dontavion Wicks. 31 snaps. His grade was a 44.0. That was ugly, guys. That was bad. So if you look at it from a PFF standpoint, Jaden Reed, dominant. Romeo Doubs, steady Eddie. Christian Watson, nah. You see what I'm saying about not wanting to pay Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson wide receiver 1 money? It just doesn't make sense. If you want to offer them $10 million per.
Kick off the 2024 football season with Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. It's the easiest way to play. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch your winnings roll in. This September, get automatic win every week by picking Caleb Williams to get just 1 passing yard. That's right, 4 weeks of free wins, but only if you jump on it before September ends. And don't forget, you can win up to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks. Prize Picks even has injury insurance, so if your player leaves the game early, you're still in the game. I've been loving Prize Picks, my go-to for simple, fast, and fun fantasy action. When my picks hit, I get paid in as little as 15 minutes. Download Prize Picks now and use code PACKDADDY to get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code PACKDADDY for $50 guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game. Remember, Prize Picks is a skill-based fantasy game, making your lineups just got a whole lot more exciting.
When it comes to towing, seeing is believing. That's why Chevy Truck's advanced camera technology offers up to 8 available cameras for 14 unique views, so you can focus on the view that really matters. Chevrolet, together let's drive. Learn more about Chevy Trucks at Chevy.com. Safety or driver assistance features are no substitute for the driver's responsibility to operate the vehicle in a safe manner. Read the Vehicle Owner's Manual for important feature limitations and information.
Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds. At Mint Mobile, we like to do the opposite of what Big Wireless does. They charge you a lot, we charge you a little. So naturally, when they announced they'd be raising their prices due to inflation, we decided to deflate our prices due to not hating you. That's right. We're cutting the price of Mint Unlimited from $30 a month to just $15 a month. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
It's hard to argue. That makes sense right now. You know, again, it's just one game. So we'll revisit it. We may come back later in the year and go, yep, they're both worthy of number one money, right? Let's hope that's the case. Let's move on to defense here real quick. Defensive side of the ball. I'm going to get back to the chat here in a little bit, guys. Oh, we got a super chat. I apologize, Nick. Thank you so much, buddy. Nick McSwain says with the super chat, what do you think about tight end snap counts? Kraft had way more than Musgrave. I think it's because of blocking, ? Musgrave was also the 12th man on the field. That's interesting. When you say he was the 12th man on the field, Nick, are you confident it was his fault, or are you just saying he was one of the 12 on that play? You know what I'm saying? Hopefully I asked that correctly. I'm interested to see. I don't know how we would know unless Matt said it. Maybe Matt did say Musgrave was not supposed to be on the field there. Now, as far as the tight end snaps, man, I've been pretty vocal, Nick. And you maybe haven't been watching the show here lately. I think Tucker Kraft's your best tight end. He can do more of everything you need him to do than Musgrave. And that's not necessarily a knock against Musgrave. Musgrave is more of that hybrid wide receiver type, that flex tight end. Tucker's that guy, as you've seen with the run blocking. His strength was run blocking, pass blocking, right? So I think me personally, I'm going with our boy Tucker Kraft. Let me go back to offense real quick, and let's just see the snap count there real quick. Tucker Kraft 64, Musgrave 17. So it's obvious that's how they see it too. And again, look at Musgrave's run blocking. I think it's run block, 42.3. Tucker Kraft 70.3. So we got Tucker Kraft's your top tight end, in my opinion, man. Hopefully that answered your question there, though. What do you think about the snaps? Yeah, I think it's indicative of kind of what we've seen. You know, Tucker Kraft is your tight end one. Thank you, Nick. I'll try to keep an eye on the super chats there. Sorry for the delay, buddy. Appreciate you. All right, let's see here. Defensively. This gets me excited, man. It was only 11 snaps, but Edgerrin Cooper, my goodness, 85.9. Guys, I hope they're not too hesitant with him. Get him on the field, man. Get him out there on the field. In the base, in the nickel, everything. He may come back down to earth next game, but who's the guy that's competing with him? You got two different cats. Eric Wilson, 62.4, and then you've got Isaiah McDuffie grade out 35.7. That surprises me. You guys know I think McDuffie's a good ball player. He wasn't on a Friday night, that's for sure. So when you're in your nickel 4-2-5, you got to get Edgerrin Cooper and Quay Walker out there. That needs to be your linebackers. Again, remember what I said? It kind of feels like, based off what I've seen with Edgerrin Cooper, and they both do two different things, right? But although Edgerrin Cooper had a higher coverage grade too, it's just 11 snaps. Edgerrin Cooper might be your Mike of the future. You know, that true linebacker that when you go to a dime or a dime or a quarter set, hey, that's the linebacker that goes on the field. You know, he could be that dude. But Quay had 76 snaps too. I've been real vocal about Quay. I want it to work out, but it's just not working out. His run fits is the big thing for me. Like when you look at his run defense grade, and they see it the same way. Overall, he's a 59, but his run defense grade is a 59.9. Tackle grade 62.9. Not horrible, but run fits his weakness. Coverage was a 60.4, but look at our boy Edgerrin Cooper. When he only had 2 coverage snaps, but 60.9. We need a larger sample size of Edgerrin Cooper. If he graded out in the 40s, 50s, or 60s, I'd say let's just keep rolling with Eric Wilson and Isaiah McDuffie. But I'll tell you, Eric Wilson, to me, a couple run stops there. He only played 15 snaps. So we're grading, we're really being harsh judging Isaiah McDuffie on 74 snaps and Eric Wilson only on 15, Edgerrin Cooper only on 11. But I just want to see what you got there. I don't want to get halfway through the season and not know can Edgerrin Cooper handle it. You may march him out there the next 3 weeks and he turned out to be the best linebacker on the team. If you don't try it, you don't know, right? One thing we do know is he's completely healthy now. Let's get his butt on the field. That's what we need to focus on. Xavier McKinney, the big free agent signing in the offseason, 76.2. 76.2. Solid. His run fit, obviously 54.3, not ideal, but tackle grade, 81.2, one of the best tackles. I think he had the best tackle grade on the entire team. I don't want to keep going back to this, but, man, I'm telling you that these guys that Goody drafted, the defensive back room, Savage could not tackle to save his life. You know? Like it. Anthony Johnson Jr. didn't make the roster. You got to start doing something different in drafting defensive players. You got to. Because it's just you're focusing too much on these elite athletes rather than football IQ and tackling ability. You know, I don't know. Maybe I'm on an island there. It's just you go out, you shop. All right, let's go get this safety in free agency. He comes in and bang, tackle grades up. Same thing happened with Amos. Remember when they went and got Adrian Amos? Same thing. One of the best tacklers on the team. And Hark, it was someone they didn't draft. Clinton Dix, different story, right? We drafted him. I think you're leaning a little too much into those athletic schools. Obviously not specifically RAS, but their own athletic. You know what I'm saying? It's just, I don't know. Anyway, third, I thought this was a positive. Eric Stokes, 66.7, coverage grade 65.9, not horrible. That's way better than Jaire Alexander, fellas. Way better. Keyshawn Nixon had a good ball game. We've been hard on Keyshawn on this podcast. 65.4, run defense fit, 64.9, tackle grade was 47.5. Again, that was one of the guys that kind of popped up on the missed tackles. Pass rush grade was at 92.3. That definitely helped his overall. His coverage grade was a 53.5. But the big thing for me was that play he made on Jalen Hurts. Go back and watch the Dallas game. Go find Keyshawn Nixon sacking Dak Prescott. It was the same exact type of play. He was on that side of the field playing spot drop, little zone coverage, eyes on the quarterback, shoot your shot, be aggressive. Big play, but Keyshawn still though had kind of a bad game from the coverage standpoint. He's not a great slot corner, although overall I think he had a decent game. Definitely other people to pick on. Lucas Van Ness, only 19 snaps, but a 65.3. I think you probably got to get him out there a little bit more. Tackle grade is 71.2. Pass rush was only a 58.2. Run fit, though, 65.9. All signs are pointing toward don't be afraid to put him in an interior defensive tackle position, this 4-3 defense. He can hold up at the point of attack. And he's got the athleticism to shoot that one gap. I don't know, man. Maybe get him try him on the interior a little bit. I wouldn't mind to see that. Carrington Valentine, only 9 snaps, but a 63.5, you know. Eric Wilson, 15 snaps, 62.4. Preston Smith, 54 snaps, a 61.1. His pass rush grade was a 50. Rashawn Gary, 59.5 on 49 snaps. Tackle grade was good, 73.9. 56.6 pass rush grade. Now, when we were pointing out his pass rush grade being good last year and his pressures being good, people roasted us because he didn't get sacks. Now you see the grades down and he got a sack. So you guys got what you wanted, but now I'm going, man, come on. We got to get more pressure on the quarterback. It's funny how that works, man. 56.6 for Gary again. Quay Walker, 76 snaps. Listen, he's available, right? 76 snaps. I think he played every single defensive snap. That's noteworthy, no doubt about it. 59 defense grade. His run defense grade was a 59.9 with the run fit. Tackle grade 62.9. Pass rush grade 51.2. He only had 5 snaps where he pass rushed, and then 60.4 for the coverage grade. So you see, once again this year, his pass coverage grade seems to be one of his strengths. Devontae White, a 55 defensive grade, not that good. Run defense 50.9. Tackle grade 67.3. That's a little bit encouraging. Pass rush 61.1. Obviously, he had the fumble recovery on the bad snap. Hey, that's a huge play in the game. Kept us in it for sure. What's he doing with the coverage snap, guys? You mean Devontae White dropped into coverage? I thought we were mad at people for doing that. What are we doing here? Eric Wilson dropped into coverage 3 times. He's a defensive end, or no, he's a weak side linebacker, but they like to play him on the line there from time to time. Interesting. So your edges didn't drop at all. So I'm sure people were very happy about that. But again, we when we highlighted the tape on Jeff Hafley at Boston College when they played Florida State and Jordan Travis, he liked to play those defensive tackle spies. Kenny Clark's got one there too, one coverage snap. So Jaire Alexander, the highest paid corner in the league, 52.1. His coverage grade, 48.9. It's time to have that conversation, fellas. I hate to be that dude. And I know he got the interception. He freelanced on the interception. But I hate to be that guy, but my goodness, man. He got cooked. And listen, corners get cooked. This isn't is Jaire Alexander a good corner or not? This is is Jaire Alexander worthy of being the highest paid corner in the league talk? It sucks. I like that dude. But how many years are we going to do this? And we blamed the scheme, did we not, last year? It's just the Joe Barry scheme. That's the problem. You got to button it up quick here with Ja, man, because he did. That little out and up, whatever you want to call it, from A.J. Brown, I mean, he used no football IQ whatsoever, he being Ja, and he just got cooked. It's like he looks like he's playing lazy, and I'm not talking like loafing. I'm talking like mind-wise. He's not. It's like he thinks he's still 23 years old, and his athleticism can make up for him making a bad mental decision, and it just doesn't happen, man. Don't get me wrong. I was screaming as loud as anyone when he picked that ball off in the end zone, but I was also screaming as loud as anyone when he decided to run around for 15 yards, and he cost us 7 invisible yards by not down in the end zone. Like, that's the type of mistakes. It takes you into the mindset of, okay, what's he thinking? That's what he's thinking is, to hell with what I'm being coached. I'm going to do what I want to do is what it feels like. Maybe I'm being too hard on him, but man, it's just, maybe I am. Maybe I'm just being too hard on him. I want to see what the chat's saying, see if I'm getting roasted in here, and maybe it's rightfully so. Heck, it looks like everybody agrees with me. J. Cole, member of the PTA posse, appreciate you, buddy, says, Ja got barbecued. That's just horrible. And again, PFF isn't everything, right, Jay? But when you watch the tape lines up with the grade. There's no doubt about it. Ben Holden, Alexander tried to bump Brown, and Brown made him look silly. And you guys remember, and there's 3 different sides to a story, right? There's your side, there's my side, and then there's the truth. The old saying. And it's so true. Like, everybody last year, many people last year, why don't they let Ja play bump and run? Why don't they let Ja play bump and run? Ja came out in his own words and said he don't like to play bump and run. He likes to play off. So Joe Barry was the scapegoat for that. And then when you put him in bump and run, you could tell he's uncomfortable, right? And he did. He looked silly. He did. AFM makes a good point. He's never been the same since the shoulder injury. It's very true, man. Very true. Maybe that's it. And look, I'm sitting behind a mic, and I got it about 67 degrees in here, slight breeze blowing in off the deck. And I'm over here talking about somebody playing soft with a shoulder injury. Talk about hypocrisy at its most. But yeah, man, it does feel like that, AFAM. It really does, bub. Nathan says, no, Clayton, agree with you. It's time to have that conversation with Ja. And here's how I think the conversation should go. If the season plays out the way it is right now, we got a few minutes. I almost want to pull up his contract. I think I'm going to do it. I don't want to get too crazy here, flying solo, because I can really slow down the show if I do this. Let's see if we can pull his contract up. Bear with me just a second, guys, because we want to look at the guarantee stuff and see exactly what the penalty is if you were to move on next year. There's somebody right now, I can't believe y'all are cutting Jaire. We're not cutting him. We're just having a conversation because the performance is setting up an opportunity to maybe take a pay cut. That's the reality. All right, let's pop this over here real quick. We can always come back to the PFF here in a second. I just want to look at some of the guarantees and everything on his contract. All right, let's see. Let's drop this down. Bang. This is a good podcast. And people on the podcast right now are like, I'm unsubbing to this garbage. I apologize, y'all. I'm trying. All right. So let's look at the contract as a whole, I'm going to zoom it out. I'm a little more comfortable when it's zoomed out a little bit. I want to see. It's going to make the numbers a little harder for y'all to read, but I really need to be able to see the dead cap and all that stuff attached. So his contract details as it sits right now, we're in 2024. Right here, you guys can see my cursor, right? Okay. So the way the contract is structured right now, his cap hit this year is $23.9 million. Okay. His dead cap attached is $35.4 million. So next year, as we go into next year, he's set to have a cap hit of $25.8 million, and the dead cap attached is $19 million. Okay, he's got one voidable year that's worth of $2.3 million in cap, and that would accelerate to the cap for 2025 if you moved on from him after this year. So essentially, the best way to read this, guys, if you cut him outright, you're only saving roughly $6 million. You're saving $6.7 million. Is it worth it? Now the question becomes, and this is the same conversation we have with Aaron Jones, and I think a large majority of our listeners, including people on Twitter too, would agree that the question now becomes, is Aaron Jones worth that extra 1 to 3? I heard reports that the Vikings gave him $1 million more than the Packers. I heard reports that they gave him $3 million. We're talking real money. We're not talking about this phony money. Real money. If that was the case, the question now becomes, is Aaron Jones worth $3 million? Because no matter what he's on the cap hit for right now, you're now trying to determine, in cost analysis, is he worth the extra $3 million or the extra $1 million or not? That's what the question becomes. I personally think Aaron Jones was. Goody disagreed and he moved on, right? The thought of having Aaron Jones and Josh Jacobs on the field at the same time in a split back set and being able to do some really unique things with them both being receiving backs. Now, Aaron Jones may hit the wall this year and Goody's proven to be, a genius. That could be the case. But for me, I think it would have been worth an extra $3 million to have him on the roster. Now, back to Jaire Alexander. Is it worth $6 million to keep him on the roster? That's the question. As it sits right now, me personally, I think it is. Okay. But if you went to him and asked him to take a quote unquote pay cut, let me show you what that would look like. You go to 2025 and you notice his base salary right here, right? You can see my cursor. His base salary is $16.1 million. Okay. And he's got a signing bonus of $6 million, a restructure bonus of 2.3, and workout and roster is less than $1 million. So let's key in on the base salary here. I see your super chat there, Ron. I'm going to hit it, buddy. I really, really appreciate it, bro. Give me just a second. Let me finish up this thought here, and then we'll hit that super chat. That 16.1, you can convert that to signing bonus. What that does is it guarantees money to Jaire, and it allows you to spread that money out over the rest of his contract. Okay. Now, why would Jaire do that? Because that's guaranteed money in his pocket, period. That's why players love doing that. Now, what teams will do was they'll go to, and they did this with Preston Smith several times, right? You go to that player and go, hey, look, here's what we'd like to do. Of that $16.1 million, we want to convert that money to a $5 million signing bonus, write you a $5 million check right now. Okay. If we do that, the cap hit with that base salary is still 16.1. But if you're willing to take a pay cut, we'll give you that $5 million. So we want to give you a $3 million quote unquote pay cut, right? And drop your number down to 13.1. But we want to take $5 million of that 13.1 and give you a $5 million check right now, and you don't have to wait to get paid. And now in Jaire, you go to Jaire's camp, and their thing is, do we want to pack up and leave Wisconsin? Do we want to potentially go to another state that's got higher taxes? Do I want to completely move across the country? Right? Am I rooted here? And if the answer is yes, is it worth doing all that to take a $3 million pay cut overall, but get a $5 million check right now to stay? You see what I'm saying? So that's how you can free up some cap money. He technically takes a pay cut, but he also gets more money in his pocket, right? That comes into play. And you got to ask yourself, is it worth losing Jaire Alexander over $6 million? I personally think you keep him. The number's at 6. 2026, different story. Because in 2026, the cap hit jumps to 27.8 and the dead cap's only 10.7. Right there, you're freeing up, what would that be? $10 million in cap space. That's a whole different ball game right there. See what I'm saying? So something to monitor. Again, it's more about getting the best 11 out there. If Jaire isn't one of the best 11, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to find a way to defend him here. He got cooked on Friday night. The tape shows him getting cooked. The PFF grade shows him getting cooked. It's not so much about the cap hit anymore as it is he one of the best 11 to put on the field? Would Carrington Valentine have gotten cooked? Listen, A.J. Brown's a damn good receiver. Maybe he would have, right? Well, Corey Ballantyne. Now, with Corey Ballantyne, this is going to sound really, really strange, but who's a better receiver, A.J. Brown or Justin Jefferson? I think it's Justin Jefferson. Maybe you guys disagree. That's okay. Corey Ballantyne shut Justin Jefferson down last year on New Year's Eve. I'm just saying. Now, if you wanted to potentially trade Jaire, that makes that a little bit better, right? If you trade Jaire and free up, you free up the $6 million, and some of that, it may even be a bigger free up, because I know there's some things you could do. You could restructure it before you trade him, and he's got to work out. Maybe he wants to work out a new deal with the new team. If you get a third round pick and you free up $6 million next year, that feels a lot better. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, I did not expect to talk about that, but here we are. Ron Samble with the super chat. Appreciate you, buddy. He said, Hafley may be judged as a coach by how willing he is to replace underperforming players during the year, no matter their status on the team. It's a great point, Ron. And again, the goal should be get the best player on the field, right? Again, I'm not saying we need to cut Jaire Alexander, but I think we're all agreeing that it's time to have that conversation. Like, hey, look, this, Bub, you're tying up a good chunk of the salary cap, and we're not getting a result from it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's it's tough. I mean, what percentage of the cap is that, actually? Let me look here real quick. Percentage of the cap, we had it up. This year alone, he's eaten up 9.3% of the cap. Next year, it's 9.4. Then the year after that, 9.5. Now, keep in mind, every year that goes along, Spot Track has tried to tally in a guesstimate of what the salary cap will be. It may be a little higher, maybe a little lower, but they try to put in a certain average percentage. So, just something to kind of keep our eye on there for sure. But, Ron, thank you. Thank you for the super chat, man. To answer your question, or to respond to your comment here, he may be judged as a coach by how willing he is to replace underperforming players. So true. You got to put the best 11 out there, man. I think we're thinking in the same vein there, Ron. Appreciate the support, buddy. Thank you so much for the super chat. You are awesome. Let's hit a couple of these other comments. And I know we still got – actually, let's finish up what we were doing. We got sidetracked. But, man, those are the conversations that need to happen, no doubt about it, as we go through and hit stuff like this with the PFF grades and everything. Let me see if I can get this a little zoomed in here for y'all. All right, let's go full screen again. Okay, just to finish it up, we kind of got down to what? Devontae White, Jaire Alexander, 52.2, 48.9. Gosh, that's horrible. Javon Bullard, guys, bad game, according to PFF. But 76 snaps. Hey, go dive into the tape and get better, bull, right? 46.1. Look at his run defense, though. 77.4. Let's go. Let's freaking go. Tackle grade 69.6. Let's go. That's way better than Savage, right? The coverage grade was the big hit, 39.8. The thing I noticed was him playing deep safety and Xavier McKinney playing in the box a little more than I expected. I think we might have the snaps out here. Let me see real quick. We do. Sometimes they put the snap alignment. Here we go. God, it's way over there. No, we can line it up. All right, cool. So Xavier McKinney played 25 snaps in the box and 44 at free safety. He played 7 snaps in the slot. Interesting, right? Now, some of those, it's not that there's not a slot corner on the field. It's just the specific defensive call they had put him in the slot. That makes sense. So with Bullard played only 14 snaps in the box, 45 at free safety, 10 in the slot, right? And 3 actually at corner. So it seems like they're playing Bull a little more at the deep spot when his grades would suggest he'd be better in the box more, you know? Now, you don't want to – we've talked about this last year, even when talking about the Fangio scheme and Joe Barry running a variation of the Fangio scheme. Gone are the days of this is your deep safety, this is your box safety. Both safety positions have to be able to play both aspects of the game in today's NFL because there's so much pre-snap movement. There's so many trips, tray, and bunch sets that are deployed now from offenses that you got to kind of look at it that way now. You got both guys got to be able to play down. But I would try to scheme it up to play to Bull's strength because our boy McKinney can do both, right, and do both well. Let's try to get Bull into the slot a little or into the box a little bit more and let McKinney make the play on the ball. Like on Chalk Talk, if I can get it ready tonight, if not, we'll do it tomorrow. If I can get Chalk Talk ready, you guys are going to see Xavier McKinney and his ability to track the ball is just phenomenal. That interception was in Tampa 2. That was a Tampa 2 defense. He was supposed to cover deep half, and there was a guy going down the sideline in that deep half. He covered that guy, took that look away, and still had the wherewithal, the awareness, the play recognition to read the quarterback's eyes and the athleticism to get back to the seam and pick the ball off. And Quay Walker covering the seam, covering the receiver down the seam in the Tampa 2 look, his strength, it was just, man, two guys making a play was absolutely huge. So we'll get into that a little later tonight. I'm going to hit special teams. We're way over here. Special teams grades real quick. Look who's at the top of the list. Only 7 snaps, but Edgerrin Cooper. Phenomenal. Eric Wilson, 69.7 with 24 snaps, led the team. Look at Javon Bullard. There you're seeing some work from a rookie. 15 snaps, 64.8. Zane Anderson, 64.5. Corey Ballantyne contributing 18 snaps, 63.9. Evan Williams, 15 snaps, 61.8. They're toward the top. Who struggled in special teams? Xavier McKinney, 13 snaps, 30.4. If he gets hurt on a special team snap, I'm going to lose my mind. Rasheed Walker, Isaiah McDuffie took a big hit, and maybe it's because he's starting now, right? He's starting backer, only 9 snaps, but a 41.4. Yeah. Tyron Hopper, 48.1. Bo Melton, 50.2. Just some of the guys toward the bottom there. Okay, just wanted to hit on that real quick. But all right, with that being said, guys, we're way over on time. Thank y'all. This was a fun episode. I hate going solo like this, but at the same time, it is cool to get in here and be able to chat with y'all a little bit and key in on the chat a little bit more. Like I said, the super chats are a lot easier to see. But yeah, thank y'all, everybody in the chat. I want to see if there's anything else to hit on as we leave here real quick. Is he on special? Yeah, J. Cole. Why is he on special teams? I don't know, Jay. I don't like it either, but we'll let's write a letter to 1265, see if we can get Xavier McKinney off special teams. So, but seriously, thanks everybody. This was a lot of fun. If we could hit that like button on your way out. Also, if you're interested in this kind of conversation offline, we got a Patreon group that's awesome. You can scan that QR code in the upper right, or just go to patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. And we got some multiple chats in there where we just talk ball, all that stuff. You got a question for the show. Once we get a couple of those questions tallied up in there, we like to pull it up on the screen and ask them just like it would be a super chat here. Again, people ask me, how can I support the show? Should I be a YouTube member? Should I be a Patreon member? If you ask me, I would rather you be a Patreon member because we can stay connected better and you can get a little more bang for your buck in that regard. But if you feel comfortable being a YouTube member, that's awesome too. It's still supporting the show. The problem with the YouTube membership is we don't know at any point they could demonetize the channel and that money you spent all of a sudden, you know what I'm saying, as being a YouTube member. I don't like that personally. That bothers me because we want to make sure for those who are supporting us here on the show, we're doing everything to get them maximum value back. So, but thanks to everybody in the Patreon group. Thanks to everybody here today. And again, we got a new YouTube member, Nick McSwain. Thank you so much for jumping back on, buddy. Also, Nick McSwain with the super chat. Thank you. And Ron Sanville with the super chat. You guys are awesome. So we will see you tonight. We may go live a little early. I'll get the link up as soon as I can. Just keep your ear to the YouTube channel and also on Twitter. And we will let you know when we're going to go live. Chalk Talk's going to be great. Okay. Nick McSwain's asking. The goal is tonight, Nick. If I can get everything ready, here's what we got to do for Chalk Talk. So be prepared for this. We're allowed to use NFL film footage, but we got completely screwed over earlier in the year. You guys have heard us talk about it. They won't tell us specifically what got our channel demonetized. The way it's supposed to work using NFL footage, you can use it. The stream goes down, it comes back up, and you can't monetize it, right? That's perfectly fine. The problem is they won't tell us if that's why the channel got demonetized. No clue. So what we're going to do for Chalk Talk, we'll do the first half of the show, hit a few topics, and then steer everybody. All right, we're going to stay live on X, stay live on Rumble. Okay. So if you hop over to Rumble, type in Packers Total Access, you can find us over there. That's where the Chalk Talk will be happening. I apologize, but that's the only way I know to do it. If I could get an answer from them that, hey, no, that's not going to demonetize your channel, you can do that. I would love to keep it up on YouTube, but they just won't let us know. So there you go. Omer says, thanks, Clayton. Another great show. Hit that like button on the way out. Yes, sir. Thank you, Omer. Appreciate you, bud. We will see you guys tonight. For those of you listening on the pod, thank you for making us a part of your day. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world, and go Pack Go.